Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's WZ Coffee Chat. I hope your week has started off in a peaceful and positive direction. Wanted to spend a couple of minutes with you this morning talking about something that actually came up yesterday on a virtual coaching session with the DOJ, a U.S. Marshal Service member. Had a lot of fun with you. And I think it's important that we all remember that it doesn't matter how long we've been in the business or how many training courses that we've been through, that our education on an art form is never going to be complete. I know that there have been times where I've walked into conversations where I felt mentally tough, fully prepared, had a solid plan A and a plan B ready to go and a parachute packed in case they didn't work, and walked out with a limp. There was just something that happened inside there that caught me off guard. So I thought we would address that a little bit today and maybe make yourself a mental checklist out of these things so that down the road we limit some of these mistakes that are potentially going to take place. Some of the components that I always think about is all these times where people say, be cautious. This person has that church mouse mentality. Be very careful about going in an aggressive format. Well, I think all the techniques that we utilize are certainly the ones that we teach are non-confrontational and empathy-driven to begin with, but sometimes people are just incredibly nervous and anxious, even innocent people, and it just appears to be confrontational just from the phone call or just from sitting down. So are we prepared for that person who initiates with confrontation just right off the bat? Get to the point. Are you accusing me? Why do I have to sit here and listen to this? I talked about this last week, about it's amazing how witty we are, 5 seconds too late sometimes. We should jot down some of these objections and kind of have our game plan as prepared as to what we're going to say to these things. Or I've also had times where I've been second fiddle, where somebody else had a conversation first. I was not made aware of that. I get in and I'm utilizing a particular strategy and they've heard it before, where it initiates with, look, pal, I've heard this speech. You got anything else? We need to game plan for that. Can we switch gears and do it in a way that comes across as very fluid and not, jerky, so that the person knows that, hey, we've been down this path before as well, no problem. I think a lot of times we're not getting a good behavioral norm up front. We're asking just strictly biographical questions that people can answer yes or no. I think we would probably be better suited developing rapport by asking different styles of questions mixed in with some of the biographical, maybe some visual, some auditory questions, some emotional type questions. It also helps to see what their mental capacity is on those layers, especially for those of you who are utilizing the cognitive, in the change of perspective that we're attacking memory. And it's nice to be able to go to a certain channel that somebody feels good about and is willing to address. What we want to do is get people talking. So if they're visually dominant or have that mental capacity that's strong there, let's ask visual questions. Again, the rationalizations, I think we could do a whole coffee chat on rationalizations. I think a lot of us are very pre-programmed on those. We come in with memorized rationalizations that create stress. They sound good to us because they've worked in the past, when in fact they're not exactly what that person is willing to wear in public. So maybe we'll work on that on one of our coffee chats coming up, coming with some new ones, some fresh ones that attack certain genres, certain cases, certain MOs to make ourselves better in that department. I think a lot of times we're not thinking about things like motive. We know what their motive was to begin with, but when we're rationalizing, we're kind of displaying motive to them in a negative light. I think if we come in thinking, could I turn this motive into something positive through the form of rationalization, we might overcome some of this verbal rejection that we get. I think also assumptive questions. I've used a clip yesterday in that training session. It was actually a case that I worked right here in my backyard in Houston, where I was interviewing a president of a company. And again, I had a good game plan going in. I thought, got to the assumptive question, everything was fine. And then I thought I threw out what was going to be an exaggeration. I said, I mean, we're not talking 300,000, are we? And the guy hesitated. There were like tumbleweeds blowing in the background. And he said, can you repeat that question for me? And I went, oh boy, shot low. We're not talking like 500,000, are we? And he goes, yeah, it probably was a little bit more than 500,000. I gotta tell you, it's super uncomfortable when you're sitting in there. I know all the team in Chicago got a good kick out of that. They thought that one was pretty funny. But when you're in there and you shoot low, it doesn't come across as humorous as it does to other people. So I think what we need to do is consider these investigations less of going in with like a script, this perfectly executed, premeditated, uh, you know, words that we've used 100 times over, and think of it more as a jigsaw puzzle. Who is this individual that I'm going to be talking to today, either face to face or on the phone? What components would I be willing to listen to if I was in that chair? What type of rejection am I going to get verbally? Am I going to be witty when I'm ready for it? Are my rationalizations targeted? Will I be able to overcome hurdle? Let's start asking these questions before we pick up the phone, and I think it'll make life just a little bit easier and make it more fluid while we're having these conversations. I want to wish all of you a wonderful week ahead. I'm going to be taking a couple days off. I'm looking forward to hiding in the mountains of Tennessee over Memorial Day. Hope you and your family have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day as well. Look forward to seeing all of you soon. Be safe out there.